a cornerback on the radar for the Philadelphia Eagles. Cornerback 2 is going to be heavily looked at in this training camp coming up. We have some news on Jaylen Herz, and we have news on the bigger reasons of Jaylen Hertz's contract, why Goddard came back the way he did after all that time when we thought he was going to be gone. And we have some things to talk about regarding training camp, joint practice, all of that stuff coming up in the offseason program. So let's get straight into it all.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Hope everyone is doing well. And we have some things to talk about today. Now, first, obviously, rumors, obviously things that have been reported so far. And we're talking about Asante Samuel Jr., okay, that was supposed to get paid off his rookie deal, was never paid, obviously, and he walked in the free agency. Now, Jeremy Fowler had some things to say about the situation, and it involves the Philadelphia Eagles, okay, saying that Asante Samuel Jr. Could be a potential option for the Philadelphia Eagles, saying that Asante Samuel Jr., who is coming back from a neck injury, he was one of the top free agent corners. He probably won't sign until late July. I do know the Eagles have thoughts about that one, and that's on their radar as well. Now, this one is very interesting to me. The Eagles are keeping their options open while they get to see what this cornerback 2 competition is going to look like. Obviously with Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo for that second spot. Okay. Now, it looks like Asante Samuel Jr. ended up having a neck injury last year, missed a lot of time, and then finally just had the surgery this past April of 2025. So he missed a lot of time last year, and it looks like the Chargers did not want to pay him. Now, it looks like he is visiting the New Orleans Saints right now. The Saints have cap issues, and if Asante Samuel Jr. is visiting the Saints right now, then he's got to be dirt cheap. Okay, the only problem I have is where does he fit on this roster? If Adoree Jackson, or if they don't look at him as a starter, or if Keely Ringo is not panning out during training camp, would Asante Samuel Jr. be the answer clearly? Now, you look at the size difference between these corners. I mean, Asante Samuel Jr. between Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, he'd be the smallest corner. I think he's 5'10", 183, 185 pounds. Quinyon Mitchell has a good 10 pounds on him at 6 feet, and I think Ringo's like 6'1", 6'2". So this would be your smaller corner. I don't really know if Fangio really has interest in. I don't know. Maybe they're looking at him as an outside corner. Are they looking at him as a depth piece? Maybe they want to move Cooper DeJean around a little bit and maybe want to, maybe put him on the inside. I don't know. I'm kind of weighing in my options here on why they want him so much. And they're looking at him as a low risk, high reward type move, because sometimes these guys that have these injuries, they're not going to get paid much. They kind of have to reinvent themselves on another roster, play well, and then really earn that contract the year after. So, news has been going around. We heard about Jair Alexander. Now we're hearing a lot about Asante Samuel Jr. And when it comes to neck injuries, a lot of teams do not, especially they didn't want to pay him a lot of money. It wasn't going to happen. This is a guy, obviously, we wanted a few years ago when we drafted Landon Dickerson. We kind of were eyeing this kid, and the Eagles, I think, had interest in this kid at one point. So I guess it makes sense. I know Fangio wasn't here at that point, but Howie Roseman might have had interest in the process of the draft that was happening that year. Apparently, there's been news coming out that he is going to play for in the 2025 season. So I think the Eagles are going to get the camp. They're going to see what they have, and that cornerback 2 spot is like I'm eyeing that thing till the end to see what's going on, and is Keely Ringo living up to what he's supposed to be, and can he take over that position? That's going to be the big question there. So I believe that cornerbacks on the radar it's been there for the Eagles. I think they've had some interest there. I think they're monitoring a lot of situations from a couple of corners. I don't think they're trading for one. I think they're going to get a guy that's really trying to reinvent himself, go to another team, maybe a guy that hasn't been healthy like the 2 that we have really been talking about. So coming off injuries like that, you never know what could happen, but that is really the big rumors on Asante Samuel Jr. to the Philadelphia Eagles. And seems like there is some type of interest there. Now, I kind of want to go over Jalen Hurts. Okay, now there was some news that came out a few days ago regarding Jalen Hurts, his contract, because we really didn't know the backstory of why that contract. And remember, the Eagles signed Jalen Hurts to a pretty cheaper deal, and they signed him early. And there was a lot of other quarterbacks were getting signed at that point, and the Eagles took care of this as fast as possible. His cap numbers for the first couple years were like 6 against the cap, 13. I think this year it's like 21 million. I mean, that's not even that bad. Once we get into 26, 27, it goes to 30, then it goes to 40. I think by the 26 season, I think they will probably either restructure or they'll probably extend him more years, create some voided years, and minimize that dead cap hit. So I don't think that's a problem at all. But there was news that came out that Jalen Hurts, his number one thing was, I want to get paid, but I want the other guys to eat. Okay. He literally took less money for other guys to get contracts. This is why before Jalen Hurts was even signed, I was like, there's no way they're signing A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. It's literally going to be impossible. There's no way. Obviously, the Bengals have done that with a couple of their top receivers, and they have that over $100 million contracts each. I mean, I don't know what the guarantees are, but it's absolutely ridiculous. And then you have no room to really sign anybody else like Trey Hendrickson and all the other crazy moves that they really can't do anything. But with something like this, it's very selfless. It really is. I don't know any quarterback, this quarterback's thinking about championships. He's thinking about other players, he knows he can't do it all by himself. He's got to have an offensive line. He's got to have receivers that he could trust. I mean, you got to pay these guys. And if he strangles the Eagles by their necks and say, hey, I want this amount of money, and it's going to be hard for the Eagles to make moves. This is why it's very hard to sustain being in the playoffs. It's hard to sustain being in a couple Super Bowls, winning one with Jalen Hurts, which is absolutely fantastic, which we just witnessed last year. So it's hard to really maintain that when you have to pay guys, especially the quarterback, because the quarterback is most likely the highest paid guy on the team. And that's the guy you have to take care of. And the Eagles weren't strangled in that position to do that. It was a very fair deal. And Jalen Hurts' agent done a fantastic job with this. And Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown paid, got Devontae Smith paid at a lower cost. And everyone's eating right now. That's how you keep a dynasty together. Tom Brady with the Patriots for so many years. Why do you think he was able to, they win multiple Super Bowls as much as he's really good? Tom Brady took a lot of pay cuts every single year, a lot of pay cuts to keep specific guys he wanted on the team to go get paid. And he was able to keep guys paid because he took less money every single year and took more pay cuts. So Jalen Hurts the right thing. There was even almost to the point where Dallas Goedert, the Eagles were like, hey, Dallas Goedert, go seek a trade. I mean, Chauncey Gardner got traded and we were kind of freaking out, but we calmed down from it. And then Dallas Goedert, was seeking a trade, or the Eagles told him to go find a trade partner. And we were all freaking out about it. We're like, they got nobody at tight end, because realistically, after the 25 season, you have no tight ends. Everybody's on a one-year deal, and I don't think any of these guys are going to get extensions. Okay, Dallas Goedert hitting 30 years old now, and the Eagles giving him a bigger deal next year. It's definitely not going to happen, so look for a tight end drafted pretty high next year to be the future of this team, and, we'll see what happens with that. But the reason why Dallas Goedert came back, and this really wasn't, the Eagles were just like, I guess it just became a money thing. Look, Dallas Goedert last year of his contract, and he wanted more money. He's coming off a Super Bowl. He thinks he deserves more, and relatively he hasn't been healthy the last few years. Thank God we had him for the playoffs. He's missing 6 to 8 games a year. Thank God the Eagles have had Grant Calcaterra in the building to take over. A lot of starring experience there. You know what I mean? But he's not Dallas Goedert. We all know this. But, the Eagles like to, in a rotation, get a lot of these guys. The ball can only go around to so many guys, especially now having Saquon Barkley in the backfield. It's even harder for these guys to get the targets that they're willing to take. But it looks like, Goddard stayed because, Hurts made him feel really important, and that he was an important part of the team. And then he says, quote unquote, playing with a QB that you're comfortable with is also important to me. Someone that values you, that just makes things even better, which is awesome. So making you feel like you have some value. And this is the team that drafted Dallas Goedert. So like, he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He wants to get paid. So he ended up getting 10 million guaranteed for the year. So that's good. Nice little chunk of change for him in his last year in Philadelphia, most likely. So Hurts has been the big difference maker on why guys are either leaving or either staying, and a lot of guys are getting staying, not only staying, but they're getting paid as well. Whether it's a 1 year, a multi-year deal, whatever. Hurts really gravitates players towards him because of his attitude, the way he carries himself, and it's very professional. It's one of the most professional, one of the most mature-minded quarterbacks I have ever witnessed realistically, you know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy. But that was the news on Jalen Hurts' contract and why Goddard came back, and really the big things that happened with that, which was awesome. So I really did like that. Now, to go into some of the news for the Eagles for the offseason program, we got some dates. Okay, so July 22nd is going to be the start of Eagles training camp. So mark that on your calendars. And it looks like there will be the first joint practice with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cleveland Browns August 13th at the NovaCare Complex. I don't know the dates for the open practices yet. I'm guessing it's going to be in the beginning of August. So I don't know, sometime in there in early August we'll have at the link we'll have the open practices and things like that, which we'll get a lot of footage of what's going on at these practices. But the Eagles have had joint practices with the Browns almost a lot of times already. The last few years they've practiced with the Browns a few times. I guess they like practicing with the Browns, I guess. I don't know. But good practice though, not too bad. So those are your dates. That's really set in stone for the Philadelphia Eagles for training camp, all that great stuff. And other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'm ready for training camp. I'm ready for things to happen. And obviously, we have to monitor certain positions, and you have to look out for players that are still available out there that the Eagles could go get if certain players aren't living up to expectation during training camp. And I think that's really important. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. And make sure you like the video because it helps out tremendously. As you know, it does. But you guys have a fantastic day. And I will see you guys on the next one. Kicks what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace up.